we're going to hit over here. We're going to see what happens. Excellent connection. Fantastic. All right. Hey, everybody. I haven't done a video in a long time. This week, I've been busy teaching Practical Board Repair School, and we've got 2 of our weekend students here. We're here with Zach, and you can't quite yet see him. Nate, wave over here. Stick your hand up, which I got to do this so that you can see yourself. Where's your hand? There he is. And we're going to swap in and out. And I am 100% confident that after you've been here 7 days, right? This is day 7. After 7 days of training, you guys have been hearing the bell ring a lot, so you've been fixing some pretty awesome stuff. What have you been working on today?
An iPhone X with, it was a line of pads missing on the top layer board. Made a good effort to replace those pads.
He was working on a board that we decided was, we didn't feel like fixing because it required too much work. So this is one that didn't turn on at all, had a short circuit that he solved, and then it had catastrophic split board damage. You want to go see if that's our friend with the, we also invited over a guy on the phone like maybe 15 minutes ago that you guys said wasn't going to show up. To a walk-in guy with a potential iPad charge port with a pulled pad. That is this the iPad charge port guy?
Sounds like it.
All right, pivot. Do that first. All right. All right, come on back. We're getting ready to make a friend here. How are you?
Good,
so you
How's it
talked to
going?
me on the phone, right?
Yes,
Well, come on. We just started a live stream. Hope you don't mind being on TV.
It's fine.
All right, fantastic. Okay. What's your name? Let me guess, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay.
The name
All right, Brandon. So Brandon called me up. Brandon said, I messed up my iPad Air 2 charge port. And I said that these guys have been learning how to fix stuff all week and are perfectly capable of fixing this problem. So let's look at it together under the microscope. Now I'm going to ask you guys what you think is the diagnosis. Let's see how bad it is. So tell me how you got into this trouble.
Alright, so it's basically a family member. It was a repair that I was basically practicing on trying to do. I know a little, not a lot. And I pretty much got to that part. I got the screen off and everything perfectly fine. Once I got to that part, it was bad.
So you got this. So what made you think it needed a new charge port?
Because it wasn't taking charge. It was.
And when you wiggled it, then it would charge and then it would stop. All right, so that's the right diagnosis. So let's see how we got off the rails here. All right, let me change this camera. Okay, that looks good. All right, so all right, so I'm glad that you brought this to us. You're in the right place.
I immediately could tell. Once I didn't see like a lot of silver,
Yeah.
I immediately could tell I was pulling them.
Yeah. So what was your strategy to get this off? Were you using like a hair dryer?
No, I was using an actual iron.
Oh, an iron. Okay, yeah. It's hard to take these off with an iron compared to using a little bit of hot air. Now, you guys, we talked about this earlier today. Do you remember when I said that there's something that happens where it looks like there's a missing pad, but it's not really a missing pad?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that anywhere on this board?
Oh, my bad eyes. Yes.
What do you think, Nate? Which one? Lower left, like here? Yeah. You got it. So let's look at this whole piece right here. Let me make this so we can see right there. Let's drill in on that. Let's look. What is going on here? Yeah, it's glue adhesive. Nate, tell me what's going on here. And where's the other microphone?
Nope.
Okay, all right, Zach, tell me what's going on here.
The pad on the charge connector has stuck to the board and separated from the flex.
Yes, so this is still the old flex right here in this section. Now you got bigger fish to fry, right? Because you're missing some pads. So this first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove that. So we're going to make it so that we can see. Now I'm not going to touch this with a soldering iron until I do one really, really important, essential thing that you always do is step number 1. What is it?
Flux.
Even before that. What do we need to do? We need to make sure
Oh,
that
the
that...
battery's lifted.
Yeah, because I'm worried about that. I'm not going to put any kind of metal on metal. So I'm just going to like stick something under here. Usually I'll use the this guy, and not really like at the battery connector so much, but kind of next to it. I'm going to just lift that up so that I can get a little something under there, which is a little bit hard for me to see. So let's shove this under, lift that up so that we can just slide something there, isolated. Okay, now we can do whatever we want. And then you're absolutely right, flux is our next step, so we're going to do that. Now we're going to take the iron, and here's the trick. What's the trick?
Big old blob of solder.
You got it. Big old blob of solder is right. We're going to do a big old blob of solder right on top of here. Let's make it so we can see. We'll move over a little bit. Right on here. You can see that piece that's still on there. See that? It comes right off.
Cool.
Those ones aren't missing. You are right. Yes. So we got that. And that's what we just have to sort of learn to visually recognize. All right, Brandon, now I'm going to ask you to look at this charge board and tell me where is one more spot where we've got that same thing happening where it's the
Top right?
You got it, exactly. So we can see now in hindsight, like, okay, that we're not quite in trouble. So that's the best kind of quote pulled pads, right? All right, so we're going to go in here and we're just going to hit that with that blob of solder. Now, when I was teaching these guys earlier, do you guys remember what is the first step of taking off one of these negative ports? What do you do first? Yeah, tin up the pads, exactly. So you get a big blob of solder and you go over it before you try to take off the port. And that makes all of these joints no longer the lead-free factory solder. So if we kind of go over them in advance, then it makes it really easy for them to come off. Let's help this one out a little bit. It's kind of stuck on there. And so where do you work? In the city?
All over. I just came from Geneva.
Geneva?
Yeah, I work at a bunch of different metros.
Okay. All right. Well, that is kind of far. Okay. How long does it take to get here?
45 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. These guys said you weren't coming. I told them no. Brandon said he was coming.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
gonna be
I
here.
needed that to get done, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. There's a little bit of a dirt spot on there. All right. Now we have actually gotten the entire old port off, and we can clean it up. And then these guys are gonna take stock, and they're gonna fix it. All right. That is dope. That is lit.
So there's actually, what, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's important to see in this case which of the pads are actually even necessary, because some of those are, if they're
pads.
ground, then there's nothing to worry about.
All right.
But I was looking up something and it said that ground pads are there for a reason, so why not?
Well, they are there for a reason, but they can also not exist. Losing some of them isn't a big deal. Losing all of them, your
Different story.
structural integrity, stuff like that.
So let's read the board then, okay? All right, so we're going to go down the row here. What is that connected to?
That is
Ground.
connected to ground.
That is ground. And how do you know?
Because there's no
You can see the little piece right
Because you
there.
can see the little piece. And as I look at ones like this,
Those
these are connected
each
to
other.
wherever it goes. That goes to there. And then it goes down in the board from those little islands, right? But this one is definitely ground. So like Zach said, sometimes we care about ground. And if this was the only ground, or if that ground wasn't connected to the other grounds, then we would care about it. But let's look and see, how many other grounds do we have? What's this?
That is also ground.
Also ground, because I can see that little driveway to ground. See that right at the top of that pad? A little bit hard to see. I'm talking about right here. I can see that. That is a driveway connecting this to ground.
Yeah, ground.
What's this?
Also ground.
Ground. What's this?
Ground.
What's this?
Ground.
What's this?
Ground.
What's this?
I'm assuming ground is
Yeah,
hard to
it's
see.
a little bit hard to see. Yeah, so
Yeah,
these are
ground.
all ground. All right, so do we need to put that pad back, yes or no?
No.
No, we got plenty of ground, and it's not going to sweat that one last ground there on the end. All right, now what about this?
That is not ground. That is connected to.
That is connected to this, and then wherever in the board it goes, right? So that is something that we're going to need to deal with. Now let's go down the road. What about this one?
Ground.
That is yet another ground. So we're going to say, don't worry about it.
Ground.
This one, ground. This one,
Ground.
yes. This one,
Ground.
Ground.
ground. And then let's read the board. Now this one is a little bit ripped up. It might give us a problem, but let's think about that one a lot. Who is this connected to? I'm going to make it multiple choice.
The one next.
A or B? This guy is connected to A or B. Which one?
It's B.
B.
B. Yeah. So as long as I've got B soldered onto the flex, could I take a little piece of wire once I put the new flex on and just connect these two pads together on the top of the flex?
Yes.
Yes. And then it would be the same as if I had my connection right here, right? It would all be connected together. So that's how we can deal with that one. We'll just have to remember it. All right, and then we'll come down here, and
Looks like ground.
That's
but I don't
not
know.
ground.
it's not ground because it looks like these guys, right? So these are all going to go somewhere, and they're all independent. They're not all the same. They're all going to,
That's
know,
why they look different. Because
yeah.
they're not connected.
This one's going to A, that one's going to B, C, D, E, F, G, and you have a broken on that guy right there. You can see the torn metal. So that is going to be something that we have to deal with as well. All right, now let's look under here while we're making sure we didn't mess up anything else. All right, seems all right under there. Okay, so what would be our overall plan? So we talked about multiple ways to deal with this. So give me some recommendations.
Initially, I would think to rebuild the pads by using what trace you could expose, but it might also be easier to find another point and run jumper from there.
All right, so we've got
With my limited knowledge of this board, I would explore my options first before picking one.
okay, the perfect cautious answer. All right, so Zach said we could do pad repair, right? So we could use the solder lugs, which are over at your station, and you're an expert on that, right? We could do solder lugs and connect back these pads. And how would we do that? We'd kind of scrape up a little bit, just like you've been doing, micro pencil, get that guy on there, a little bit of green. And then you would just put the new port on as normal, right? And that would be a perfectly viable strategy. Your second idea was, why don't we research where they go? So we could go to ZXW, schematic, look to see, is there a way to just put the port on and then start making jumpers from the top of the new flex to wherever it goes on the board? Also would work. However, you're going to find that in this particular little situation, how do I get rid of this? I want to go to my hand cam. Where's my hand cam? I don't remember where anything is anymore. Yeah, this board right now, we would have to completely disassemble because the connection points for all those guys are on the bottom side of the board. So screw that. We don't want to have to take the board out, right? Okay. This is a job for, I think, solder lugs and a new port.
And that being the reason that you don't want to take the logic board out and have to figure out what parts go where, right?
Yeah, well, if you brought me just a logic board that was already out, then I would say, okay, well, let's put the port on and then just kind of make some jumpers.
Right.
So lots of strategies in your strategy toolbox, but since this one is one where everybody who's watching the stream kind of wants to see this thing start working, and I am, you know, we gotta fix this other phone that we intended to fix. I'm gonna turf this to my excellent students, and they're gonna put those solder lugs on and a new port. I think you would be able to do that very quickly, and then you're gonna come back with it fixed.
Cool.
Great, sweet, excellent, excellent. I love course week. It's my favorite time with all of this lovely assistance, especially here at the very end. Okay, now you can go watch him do that. And now we're gonna have Nate, who is a real person, I promise, and here he is. Yell out if you have any questions or need help with that, but I have 100% confidence in your ability to get that done. Yeah, okay. Do you have 100% confidence in his ability? Me too. I mean, you guys pretty much just did this, and then he just did that super complicated solder lug, and I'm pretty sure he's the world's expert on solder lugs now. So, I think this is the exact right job. All right, so now we are gonna move on. So you got to listen in, okay? Because you're gonna be back up over here.
Yeah, so we only have 2 to work with. So we're
So it wasn't as bad as I really thought. I thought it was bad.
We're like, I feel like we're spying. They were like in the bathroom, but they didn't turn their mics off. Okay. All right, I'm gonna temporarily turn that one off. Okay. So now we are gonna talk about the iPhone 11. All right. So have you seen this yet?
I have not.
Okay. So I'm gonna let you look at it while I read the note. Have you taken apart in 11?
I have not pulled up the motherboard or one
I
yet.
already took the screws out, so it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
All right, YouTube. Now we're gonna move on. Hey, hello, Jessa and students from rainy Ithaca, New York. You know what? We almost ran to Ithaca, New York. Wasn't that like the other? Was it Ithaca? Yeah.
Yep.
There was a phone that we fixed. We recovered data, and we wanted to hand deliver the data. And the person was in Ithaca, New York, so we were going to go over there and do that, but then we didn't do that. Okay. Here's an iPhone 11. So this is really a. Hey, it's Sunny. What up, Sunny? This is repair number 2 with Practical Board Repair School students, and this one we're gonna do. We're gonna look into it. I'm a little bit nervous about this. This is here for Rush, and it's an iPhone 11, and it says, I left my phone in my pocket when I went swimming, and the phone doesn't turn on anymore. That is very sad because isn't the iPhone 11 waterproof? Yes, supposedly waterproof iPhone 11. Doesn't turn on anymore after a small little swim. Took it to a repair shop. They opened it up. And the guy told me they couldn't recover the data because, quote, it overheated and burned several holes in the logic board. And that the only way to recover it is to move the CPU and RAM to another board to get the data out, and they couldn't do it, and they suggested to come to me. Now, I remember talking on the phone. I remember answering the phone. This was when Sunday was out sick, and I was on the phone, and I remember taking this call, and I remember thinking, boards don't get holes in them. I have never seen a board develop a hole in it from, but you know, things surprise me all the time. So I told this guy that we were not going to quote him for CPU swap unless it really actually needed CPU swap. And then we would quote him for CPU swap, but to send it in, and we would see if we could get the data with the standard data recovery. All right. Is it possible to get instant translation into other languages? I do not know the answer to that, and I'm guessing you speak Italian. So the only thing I can say in Italian is, do you know any Italian? No, Brighton isn't a big in speaking Italian. I remember piano means floor. You know that? Like ultimate piano or Proxima piano or something. What do you think? How bad is it?
It's not looking good, but
It's not looking good, but not the worst you've
Yep.
seen. Is there a hole in the logic board, or we don't know?
let's find out.
Let's find out. Sounds good. Okay, we are now going to look at this phone to determine whether or not it has, quote, a hole in the logic board. All right, so this is it. All right, are you guys about done?
I'm laying the lugs right now.
Laying the lugs right now. All right, this will be a race. Can we fix a board, a phone that looks like this, which has got some pretty serious water damage and supposedly a hole in the logic board, faster than practical board repair school student and fellow YouTuber Zach from, I was going to have him, Cardinal Games. What's your channel?
Cardinal Gaming Resale and Repair.
Cardinal Gaming Resale and Repair. Before he can do that job over there as a graduate here. You guys are an hour from the end of your time. All right, we're going to take the board out and see if we can locate the holes. You know what, let's see. Ooh, this is, I'm gonna hide the front cam for a second so we can really see how bad this is. Yeah, it's just a lot of, I don't know if it really picks up all of this corrosion. Pretty bad.
The camera does not do it justice.
It really doesn't do it justice. Would you lick this phone?
No.
I would not lick it either, unless I was eating fries and then I didn't have any salt. Then I would lick it. All right. Okay, we're going to go ahead under the microscope while I take this out. And we're going to bring this back and get rid of our hand cam. And why don't you read some chat and talk to some kind folks. You spent years being a moderator of a game server, isn't that right?
Yep.
So you did you have to answer a lot of questions? Like, what does that really mean? Like, what do you do if you moderate a game server? Is it a bunch of teenagers having fights or what?
Mostly just handle day-to-day stuff.
Wait, is this like the Leroy Jenkins kind of thing?
No.
Was that a game server? Like
That was just a party group in one game.
What would you have done if somebody in your group had done that?
I mean, had a good laugh.
Had a good laugh and then started over.
Yeah.
I'd kind of treat it like my iPad PMIC.
Yep.
Pretty much exactly the same. All right. Let's see.
So for those who don't know, I'm working on an iPad that has a power management issue. And I've so far remove and reball the chip 3 times over, and have.
And now he's a real pro at that. I mean, it goes
Yep.
on like butter. I mean, it really looks perfect. If only that chip wasn't dead, and if only we had another one, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the board. So we're gonna hide for a second while we all look at this board together and chat. You can join in to see if you can figure out if this board does indeed have a hole in it or not. All right, so this is iPhone 11. Looks pretty normal down here. This is the battery connector. Now you can tell that somebody's already been here because what is missing?
The sticker covers.
That shield that we poke off.
Yep.
And I'm not sure how they got this off. This guy looks, this I'm not sure it can just land here like that, so it's probably taken off with heat, but I'm not really 100% sure, because I also don't see a lot of flux on here.
Yeah.
Alright, and it also looks pretty dirty, like nobody ever
Yeah.
did anything. Nobody loved this board enough to put it in an ultrasonic cleaner. Alright, what's this? Got a little bit of snot. Alright. And we're missing a dude.
We're missing the whole connector.
That, I think, is a problem, but I was just talking about this little thing. It looks like we're missing a guy there.
Yeah.
Now, on the iPhone 11s and 11 Pros, sometimes the connectors, especially with saltwater damage, they really can get ridiculous. Like right here, you can see how it's been corroded. Sometimes the entire connector's like that,
Yeah.
and then when you just go to just disconnect it, the connector comes up with the flex. That's, for some reason, these are just really susceptible to that. So I'm going to guess that that is what happened here. Maybe, I don't know. But this connector is gone, and we're missing some guys around it. But it looks like the report was correct. What is going on? What's going on right here?
That looks to be a hole going through a couple layers of the motherboard.
A lot of layers. I mean, look at that. That is a hole. That is a big hole. That, I can't even fathom how that happens. Do you see it? All right, come, everybody, come gather around the fire for the viewing of the hole in the.
We're racing. I can't have a distraction.
Wait, say that again.
If we're racing, I can't have a distraction.
Okay, I see. So no hole in the logic board is compelling enough for. He might win this race. This is pretty bad. That's I've never seen that before.
You can fix that? That can be fixed?
We'll find out. Stay tuned. Smash that like button.
I got you.
Hit subscribe. All right. So, okay. So that's. You're going there. Whoa, that is a hole in the board. Yes, it is. All right. We're gonna have to do that again. Okay. So. Just you said you're gonna win no matter what. That is true. All right. Should that poor word. Please more video. All right. You have been echoing today.
That's because of the dual mics.
Oh yeah. Grazie. That's the other word in Italian. Yeah. Well, we've muted the other mic, so we're okay. Okay. That's the end of our step 1, which is crisp visual exam. Oh, one more thing. We have to. This is a split board model,
Yeah.
so let's look to say, in their sensible repair, which involved getting out a Dremel tool, did the prior shop split the board? Obviously, yes. You're not going to take a Dremel tool board before you rule out that the problem is on the inside. So now let's look at this, at the intersection here. Now looking at that and really thinking about, like, did you notice, like, Zach's when he was putting it together, you put an iPhone split board back together this week. Has this board been split and put back together? What do you think?
It doesn't look to be split.
You're right, it's not. This has never been split. Nobody puts it back together like that. So that means someone drilled a hole in the board. That did not burn itself in the board.
Oh, man. If that was burned, there would be more char marks around
there would be char, right? You've seen that, right? I mean, that's like Abdul's char in his board, and then like the iPad earlier in the week. Okay, so now let's say this board doesn't power on. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the first step when we've done the visual exam and this board doesn't turn on? What do we do?
Diode Mode the connector.
Nope. Fail. That would be true if it were backlit, or if it turns on but. So this one doesn't turn on at all. So this is like day 3 stuff. What do we do when it doesn't turn on at all?
Inject voltage and see what the reader, what it reads back as.
Exactly. So we're going to use our pattern recognition with the DC power. You're exactly right. So now we're going to grab this. Now we could diode mode the connector, but which one? It would be all the connectors, right? So we need more of a clue on what exactly is our pattern, right? So what would we're about to connect this to DC power, but let's think. If we connect it and you see the DC power go high right away instead of 0, what are you going to think?
There's a short on VCC main.
Yep, a short on main, or
there's
main or
battery VCC.
Battery VCC or backlight anode, or one of the ones from the list. We check the notes. Now, what if it's 0, and then when we prompt to boot, then it goes to steady above 200? What would that be?
Steady above 200, that means that there's...
Trying to think, like, we didn't see a lot of cases that were in that category.
We saw more brain dead ones than...
We did, yeah. So what would brain dead look like?
Brain dead would be below 200.
Exactly, you're right. So the 200 or higher, those would be the ones that have a short out of the PMU. Okay? So you guys saw a 3VO NAND short.
Yeah.
And that was on an that was the one where my crystal ball predicted that one. Okay, you got it. All right, so now we're going to see what happens on DC power. So we're going to plug into our board, and what happens?
We're hitting 155 milliamps.
But what should it be right now before we prompted boot?
Nothing. So we have a leak on VCC main.
Exactly. So we have a leak probably on main or battery VCC, which in the iPhone 11 is the same. So what should we do now?
Diode mode the connector and see.
Yep, we're going to diode mode and see, is this actually a VCC main problem or something else? So we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll diode mode, because we don't want to solve a problem where we don't really know what it is. So we've got some kind of a leak, so now we have to use the XW to try to find where can we measure main. So let's pull up the XW, and we're going to hide so that we can see that, and let's see what we have. All right. Now, how many VCC main shorts have you solved before coming to the class?
I think 1 or 2.
1 or 2? Very good. So what kind of stuff did you learn this week that you think was a surprise or something that you didn't already know?
I think the part stuff that I probably would have ruled as being dead
Yep.
or unrepairable was more of just lone caps causing a short.
Right. All right, so we measured here at battery VCC, and it is normal. So our diode mode reading was about the same. So we measured here, but that doesn't really go all the way to main.
Yeah.
So we're going to click. We were here before. We saw one of these cases, right? So we're going to click on the other side of R3303 so we can find our way to main. And since this shield is removed, it'll be easy for us to actually measure main. So we're going to expect this main to be something like 0.33. So we will now measure main. And let me minus that so we can see. All right, main is going to be right here on these guys, 0.272. All right, so 0.272. Main, we said, was one of the ones where if you're expecting 0.3 most of the time, 0.272 is close enough. But in the case of main, just got it. That probably is our leak. Okay. So now that we know that we have a partial short on main, how are we going to figure out where it is?
We could inject voltage and use heat to see if it is on the top board.
Yep.
Before we go any deeper and try to split the boards.
Sounds good. I like the sounds perfect. Yep. Absolutely. So we're going to see if we can find heat with a thermal camera, because if this short is just an easy one on the top board, which I doubt, but if it is, then we would regret splitting the boards right now. But we're probably going to have to split the board. So let's see. Let's see if we can look at the thermal camera. So we're going to pull up the thermal camera, and this is just the board with nothing connected to it. And now we're going to plug in our 11 Pro DC power and see what happens. So we've activated our short, and so now you got to look up there for the camera. All right, so now how do I know if that square is it just a reflection, or is it actually heat?
It's going to be actually heat if we tap the power supply and see that it jumps.
You got it. Tap, tap, tap. Okay.
So it looks like we got a culprit right now.
Yeah, so
or at least
we
a possible
have,
one.
We have something, this is room temperature, 29 degrees Celsius. And then once we hit that, it seems like there's a hot spot right there. So to remember where that is, I'm going to kind of point at it. So it's this chip right there. So we can see it under there. All right, so let's look that up and see if it happens to be on main, and see if we can make sense of what it is and what's going on with that. So let's get rid of the thermal camera, and let's go on hunt. And all right, so we're going to pull up this and see. So the thing that was getting hot is this little guy right here. I want to make sure about that, though. I don't want to get the wrong thing, because there's another square guy right there. So let's.
I think it's low.
Let me just make sure that we have the right guy. So I'm gonna pull this up and make sure. Can you hit tap tap?
Yep.
All right. All right, where am I?
Right
All
there.
right, yep, that guy. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so right here, it's this guy.
Those were independent.
Yep, this guy chip says LXA1S with a little dot on it. All right, so now we're gonna move this so we can see, and we're gonna go back. Juggling all this stuff is a lot of multitasking, isn't it? All right, so we're gonna go back to ZXW.
So we got, and yes, that is actually a hole in the chip in the top of the board.
Yes. All right. All right. From our point of view, having constant full view of the board would be beneficial. Well, we'll see. We'll do the best we can. All right. So right now we're going to go to ZXW, and I'm going to see if I can locate the chip. Now I don't think I have a pointer for ZXW, so we'll have to figure that out. All right, ZXW. We are talking about this chip right here, U4900. That's the guy. This guy's getting hot. Does it have main going to it?
Yes.
And ground, or main could be bridged into something else. So let's see. What does it do, and do we need it? So let's try to get a hint. So what are these? Power or data?
Power.
That is power, and then we see up here. Are you guys in the lead? Oh,
Maybe. We'll see.
Oh, for sure. All right. We're trying to figure out what this chip does. See if you guys can help us out. All right. So I see speaker amp to others, PMU to speaker amp bottom,
Audio IC.
speaker. Now, audio IC would have what word? What's that word on the schematic that means audio IC?
Codec.
You got it.
Yeah,
Codec.
yeah.
Right. So
this is not the audio IC.
exactly. This is the codec, and I think that might bother people to have two microphones. So this is the speaker amp. So one of the speaker amps. So in general, we can take a speaker amp off the board, and it doesn't really need the speaker amp. So we're going to say, while it's possible that our short is actually a branch of the speaker amp, like speaker boost. So, oh crap. The day 1 or day 3 notes, remember how it said if you have a leak, it's probably main, but could also be VDD boost.
Yep.
Backlight anode with speaker boost was one of them. So it could be that our short is speaker boost, but just to speed up, let's go ahead and take that chip off and see if that makes any difference. Let's see, what do you think, chat? Should we take off the speaker amp chip right off the top of the board? Oh man, without the face cam, just like this. Okay, well, we're gonna do what we want. All right, so we are going to take off this chip right here on the basis of the fact that we know with our multimeter that we have a short on VDD main, but it's a partial short. So it may actually be that there's a speaker boost short, but regardless, we don't need this guy, so we're going to take him off. But we will pay attention to the orientation in case we need to put him back on. I'm going to have to pull it closer to me to get it here.
Like the tip where the pad would go.
Yeah, so right here, it's not going to move because this is moving.
Alright, so I'm going to save that guy. Well, that doesn't look like it's the same chip because
No.
it's way too small. And the little chip that looks like that often blinks for no reason. Alright, so that's a different chip. I'm going to guess that probably was the 11 EEPROM, so thank goodness we saved it, and thank goodness we know exactly where it goes. Okay, so now let's see what happens. In my experience, when the EEPROM, yeah, you can put that back in. When the EEPROM is blinking like that, it doesn't have anything to do with a main short. It's like a 1v2 S1 rail short. All right, so now we still, let's see if we see heat anywhere else. I'm going to guess not. Let's check it out. Let's see. Thermal camera. So we're going to get rid of this and put on this. All right, now what do we see? We're looking at this board. Looking at this board. And the hottest spot is clearly on the other side of the board. So now it's definitely time to split the board. All right, so we're going to get rid of the thermal camera, and we're going to bring back the hand camera. And I'm really out of practice with this stuff. And we're going to split the board. All right, so how do we do this?
Oh, you don't want it on there.
Yeah, we have the right board.
We're going to stick it on there.
Basically, we leave that on there for a little bit until it gets up to temp, and then we pry off the top board.
You got it. All right, so you can do that. So, do you know how to do it? You want the tool?
Sure.
There you go. All right. So we are going to split this board, which looks like it's probably going to be for the first time. So let's let it kind of get hot right over here. And zoom in, maybe. So that'll be too far away from you to split, but we'll let it kind of get up, get heated up over here. Now we can check in with chat. Long time no see. Version 3 12.9 Pro iPad that only loops from logo to black, blah, blah, blah. Took it to the Apple Store, and it's impossible to open up and troubleshoot. So a brain-dead iPad Pro, I would try to restore. That's what I would do with that iPad. See what happens. Audio echo. Is that better or worse for audio echo? Let's see. Let's see. Jumper. Let's see. Echo. So Jessica gets a Tesla back. Yeah, I still have the Tesla. Hole or protrusion? More echo. Yeah, so we're trying to do 2 microphones, but those guys.
I have the other one on me.
Huh?
It got transferred to me.
I think it's the 2 mics. Let's hit mute on that one. There we go. I think I hit. Yeah, I'm not sure what that does, but now that one's muted. All right. Audio is better. All right, fantastic. Okay, so now we are waiting for this board to split it, and we'll see what we find. How's your iPad charge port job going, guys?
We have a good path completion.
Do you need a new charge port?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. Even better. Excellent. All right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin these pads, the ones that we
All right.
put on.
You want to see if we're going to slide this over, and you're going to try and split it. And we don't have a good camera view for that. Now, when you get really professional, when like at 6 o'clock, when you're a real graduate, it should be like butter. There you go. Then you can just grab it off with your hands. Okay. Now it is split. So here we go back to the microscope. Let's get rid of the hand cam, and we are gonna look at the board under the microscope. All right, so let's look. Oh, so they did split the board, and it looks like they do have. What the hell? Why would you do this? Oh my God! Wow, this hole in here is absolutely clean through. Look at that.
Yep.
That's crazy. How did they do that? They went all the way into the bottom like interposer board. Look at that. That's crazy. All right, we got to focus this up. This is insane. Oh my God, I can't believe they did this.
So did I go through and then try again? From the looks of it?
I have absolutely no idea. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, so now let's see. Is there any actual sign of water? Oh, I see. So they probably replaced. This is the charging IC, and this is audio IC, and this is a half removed degraded capacitor that's still a little bit there. That's super weird. That's crazy. I think this might be one where they are correct in that it very well could require a CPU swap, which we would then do. We'd have to requote him though. But there's a little bit of corrosion here next to the CPU, which I don't like to see. I just want to know what that was like. That's insane. That's just so crazy. Okay, now let's see what happens. Let's forget about the bottom board, and now let's just go straight with the top board, and let's see what happens with DC power. Oh my gosh. Let's see what Chad thinks. That board has got a hole in it. Holy moly. All right. All right. Some kind of feedback. Echo is back. Uh-oh. What's wrong with the echo? Is it working? You know what I'm going to do? Huh?
Should I just flip off the other mic and just mark up one mic?
Oh, I see what we're doing. Let me mute one of these. Hold on. I know echo is really annoying. There we go. Now we have one mic. Perfect. Okay, so let's see what happens now. All right, let's look for heat on the inside of the top board because we really don't care about the bottom board because why?
The bottom board is RF only?
Yeah, because the bottom board is RF only and we don't need it for data recovery. So we got some, yeah, so this is now the bottom side of the board that we're looking for heat, and that is not good to see that there is the only heat that we really see is, this is what we saw when we looked at it last.
Yep.
And that heat is coming from the corner of the CPU. I don't know what was up with the holes. Like, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm definitely worried now that the whatever led to drilling holes in the board, that is one where it electrocuted the CPU. So these chips here are maybe corroded. I don't know what made somebody drill a hole in the board. That's not good. All right, so with this, there's really not much for us to do as far as diagnosis. I would say this board's, it would be maybe a candidate for CPU swap, just to leave no stone unturned. But I wouldn't really think that would be very likely. That's not good. Yeah. So that's the deal with that one. Now let's check in with these guys because I don't really think that we can learn anything else on this one. There's really nothing for us to fix. Yeah. We know that we have our main power rail is low. It's bridged into something and seems pretty hot at CPU. All right, let's check in with these guys because it is just about 6 o'clock. Are you done? Come show us your progress because we got to wrap this up.
Oh, no, not yet. Let me finish this connector.
Does that mean we're getting...
Finish the connector?
I have like half.
All right, do it over here because otherwise we have to just give up.
All right.
We'll give you 5 seconds.
No, I'll just bring it over as is.
Great. All right. I really want to know what happened to this board. I really want to talk to that technician. All right, so we're going to re-quote this guy. You're right, buddy. This board does indeed have holes in it, and we're going to have to re-quote for CPU swap. And if the CPU is in fact okay, even though it's getting hot, then we'll be able to recover data. And if the CPU is dead, then not, because CPU is required. All right, let's see. Let's take we're going to get rid of our thermal camera, and you're going to catch us up here on Brandon's iPad board. So if you just joined this stream, we've got Brandon, who came here with an iPad Air charge port that is missing some pads and had some non-missing pads, and sent it off here with Practical Board Repair School student Zach. And what happened?
So far we've rebuilt the pads on the board.
So under here you use the solder lugs.
Yep. Use solder lugs.
Available at
down.
iPadRehab.store. Yes, everybody knows the solder lugs. Give me the solder lugs. We want to see them.
Oh,
These are cool. In fact, I would have liked to have seen this with the solder lugs like under there so we could see them. Yeah, so these are cool. These are new. So these are little replacement pads. And let's see. So did you find ones that were like long and skinny?
Yep, the one with the square pads at the
Square pad ones? One of these? Or is that one too big?
Not circles.
Those are rectangles.
Yeah, the rectangular ones.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I use, the top corner. Yep.
Okay.
Those are the biggest surface area ones.
Okay, so you pulled off like one of these.
And then I exposed
And then you replaced the...
Yeah, and
Okay.
did that on the 2. And then we remember 10 to 11. Those are the
10 to 11 are
10 to
going to
11
get a
are
wire.
yeah, they're going to get a wire.
Perfect. Man, you know what? It's almost like you absolutely know how to do this stuff like with no problem. How did you feel about your week at the course? Did you learn anything, or you just already know all this stuff?
I'm very happy with where I'm at through the course, and I feel like where I initially came here thinking that I was going to know half of this stuff and breeze through this perfectly fine, I have been overwhelmingly humbled. Overwhelmingly humbled.
Well, you did some hard stuff though while you were here.
Yeah.
I heard you ringing the bell.
Yeah.
All right, here you go. Finish it up.
Okay.
I'm gonna slide out of your way, and we're gonna close this so we can watch you. So talk to us about what you're doing right now. You have replaced the pads that were missing with the solder lugs. Did you use some green?
Yeah, I use conformal coating as a kind of a
Work while you talk, because we gotta wrap this up because everybody's bored.
I did conformal coating as a middle point between the pad and the via, just to hold it in place, and then I clean everything up and put down. Clean everything up and prepared for the new connector.
So you mostly fix switches and game systems.
Yep, PS4s, Xbox Ones, and
So how did that like kind of game console stuff translate to phones? What was the same and what was different?
the same in the sense that, a lot of connector failures. That's a common problem, especially with the switch. USB-C failure on the switch is overwhelmingly common,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's going to be one of our. But outside of that, depending on what type of component you're dealing with, there's similar practices, but it's two worlds in terms of how small stuff is comparatively. That's the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle that I've had to overcome here is working on stuff that is a fraction of the size of what I'm used to working on. But
All right, so this job just now is back to being a standard traditional charge port because you replaced the pads. So you're needing to see those pads on the missing ones, ideally in the little hole, so that you can make contact. So were you able to tin the
yes,
new pads?
I tinned the pads before deciding we were ready to put the connector on.
All right. Now, tell me what's a good way, what's a quick way to just test whether or not this connector is on there?
TriStar.
Yeah, we're going to use the good old TriStar tester, which it can't test every single one of these, but it will be able to tell us, you know, if there is an open line, it'll say dock fail when we grab that. So let's wrap that up, and we'll see. Hey, thank you there, buddy. All right. So would you recommend the 2 extra days that you did with the add-on weekend? How important on a scale of 1 to 10 was the weekend?
I don't even think it should be optional. I think it should be required. It is that, and to me, it was that important. There's a whole lot to go over in this class, and the 2 additional days was, I feel like, more than essential. I would not hesitate to take the additional 2 days.
Well, you're doing good on this charge port. Remember how we said, Nate, about walking down with the pressure, flat, as you go down and you're watching every one.
These joints aren't the prettiest, but
that doesn't matter. Yeah, it's got to. All you care about, did it make contact? All right. So now you need a single wire to connect your.
10 to 11.
Okay. So you should be able to grab. We're going to use just a piece of braid. Grab the black tweezers. Those might be too. Those are probably too janky. The good old iPad Rehab tweezers. All right, so Brandon, just grab one ply of that, and you can put the rest back here because that's dangerous. And there's probably one on that tray already that you can just grab. That's bold. You're a brave man. Or get 100% of that thread off that board, except for one.
Not where I wanted it to go.
Yeah, we'll delete some of that. Delete some of that.
I got my 1 right here, and
Okay, we'll do a little deleting of these. Yes, exactly. Now, what do you do for social media? So we've learned this week that compared to me, Zach here is an actual entrepreneur and businessman, whereas I am a person that likes to fix stuff. So what kind of stuff do you do for, like, store social media?
Of course, we do Facebook.
How often do you make a Facebook post?
Every day.
Every day?
Yes, without a doubt.
Wow, okay.
Sometimes multiple times a day, depending on if we need to or not.
Do you do it personally?
I don't really do much of anything in terms of social media, just because I don't really have a large presence at our store. But for the people who manage certain aspects of the store, they're the ones who will post the relevant stuff.
So it's kind of like a team task, like change the toilet paper, make sure we're not out of batteries, and make a post on Facebook.
Yes, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 11. So right here.
10 to 11 is getting the wire because we knew from reading the board that those two talk to each other. Now, what I like about this repair, especially how it relates to game consoles, is how much you can get from just reading the board. Like, we never did look up the schematic on this. Like, this entire repair was done just by reading the board. We could figure out which ones were ground, which ones did we need, and how to do this little.
I like that driveway aspect because I didn't know anything at all until you said driveway, and then I was able to catch on real quick. I was like, oh. Okay,
Yeah, a little driveway to ground. Yeah, I've probably said that 100,000 times.
There's a lot of trace repair that goes on when it comes to.
I bet we're going to see Brandon in Practical Board Repair School one day.
I would definitely suggest
I'm definitely thinking about it.
All right, there's our 10.
All right.
Lay flat. I mean, 2 tweezers. Make this easier on me.
Mm-hmm.
Make it a nice, pretty U.
Mm-hmm. So you're driving back to Kentucky.
Yep. Got a 11-ish hour trip to Louisville starting tomorrow.
Are you going to do it in one day?
Oh, yeah.
I remember driving to Georgia, and it was like watching a movie called Road. again and again and again. You know, it's pretty boring. Okay, so there we go. We're going to wiggle that off.
No.
We're almost going to wiggle it off, and then we're going to test with the TriStar tester, and that will tell us whether or not we're okay. All right. Hello, I am Juan Manuel from Argentina. Saludos. Hello, Juan. We've had 2 people from Argentina come all the way to Practical Board Repair School. I really hope that Abdul got to put his pin on the map from Sri Lanka. All right, let's see. Let's go back here. All right, so we're just about wrapping this up. I think I'm going to have to change the title of this to Practical Board Repair School, do a walk-in complex iPad charge port while we briefly chat about a board with a hole in it.
That's definitely how it happened. I think
Here you
it's
go.
going to be safe to say that I'm going to be the winner of this, considering the other one was.
Yeah, this one's, well, I mean, it's done. It's done. It's getting requoted for CPU swap.
Okay.
All right, let's see if we can do like hand cam so that we can see that. Hold on. Hand cam, hold on. We're gonna get rid of front cam. And so the charge port is getting tested now.
That's a low refresh rate. And we got a pass.
Yay!
This is
All
what we
right.
want to see.
So the charge port, as far as TriStar tester can test, is working. So fantastic job. Good job. You didn't embarrass me. I didn't have to shred your certificate or anything.
I didn't embarrass myself. That's what I'm working as now.
All right. Good job. And Nate, you did fantastic answering all those questions. I know that being put on the spot is maybe not just what you thought you were going to have to do when you woke up this morning, but you handled it beautifully. Yes, what's your question?
What exactly does the TriStar test if the card is blocking the battery?
Well,
Does the current still go through?
So the TriStar is basically an independent tester that it basically tests 8 lines on that charge port. So you know how you saw it tests 8 of those pads, and the TriStar chip is what handles kind of the power charging area of it. So what that does is basically one, it tests and saying, hey, are you there? So it tests and saying, oh, it's connected to the motherboard, and then it tests, hey, TriStar, are you talking on these 8 lines? And then it comes back and says, hey, I'm talking. So it says, chip's there and working, and then the connection mode that is there and working too.
Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. So fantastic job. We're going to wrap this one up and requote that iPhone 11. It had 2 holes in it. That was the most legit note that I've read in a long time. The iPhone has 2 holes in the logic board. They were put there by a person, and the CPU is getting hot. But other than that, it was correct. So I hope that you guys will come and join us at Practical Board Repair School. It's really my favorite week of the whole month. And hopefully I will be making some videos soon for you guys to check out what's going on here this winter. And this one is done. I will see you next time. Thanks, guys.